So let's wrap up this report on advanced forecasting system innovation for variable renewable energy generation. The last part is about the technical and software hardware requirements for implementing advanced forecast systems for variable renewable energy implementations. Technical requirements, hardware wise, you have many things like smart meters to monitor real-time power production, so that the use, demand and supply are constantly monitored. Weather sensors to continuously monitor changes in weather. This is kind of general statements. Where does it need to be monitored? Both at the user end, so that when there is a heat wave, power demand will go up, and at the generation site where you have clouds affecting solar production or wind affecting renewable production and so on, unless you have completely smoothed out the intermittency with batteries and pumped hydro and so on. Wind turbine sensors to monitor the functioning of the wind turbines, so you not only wind availability, but if all the windmills in the farm are functioning at full power or not. Regional national network of weather stations to continuously monitor weather patterns, so that if there is a moving system, you know that heat wave, rain, wind, storm, whatever is coming towards your grid or your system. Sky imagers and satellite data, obviously. Software wise, advanced weather forecasting tools based on a combination of input data like historical data, real-time data, etc. So weather forecasting is a detailed business where you now combine numerical weather predictions with historical data and real-time data and AI and so on. So this is a little too broad in that sense. Advanced power generation forecasting tools based on weather forecasting and power plant parameters. So this is a modeling, advanced modeling on top of weather forecasting in terms of power generation forecasting. Data analytics software, so AI such as machine learning platforms. Communication protocols are of course technical requirements for this as well. Common interoperable protocol coordination between VRE developers, asset owners and system operators and consumers. So the entire system has to be essentially on an IoT protocol. Okay, regulatory requirements are very essential. This is already playing out in various ways. For example, slowly people started putting solar panels on their rooftops, and then they started to discover that they actually don't use all of the energy they produce. So there was provisions made for putting energy back on the grid, but as the number of people with solar panels started to grow, more and more energy started to come back on the grid, and the utility companies' operational costs, profits, etc. began to be affected. So then they started to fight for new regulations on how much and who puts energy back on the grid. Okay, so that's where retail market comes in. Establish common open databases of weather data that can be accessed for free and at a small cost, which is necessary to bring down costs for smaller asset owners. These databases can have a large impact on the grid when aggregated. So here we are talking about utility operators, small scale. Enable visibility of generation from distributed energy resources like small scale wind and solar PV generators, typically sub-megawatt. So if people are running a backyard wind or solar farm, then they need visibility of generation from distributed energy sources, so they can price themselves in and out or store or distribute and so on. Transmission and distribution system operators allow DSOs to monitor power generation data from distributed solar and small scale wind project. Allow TSOs to integrate real-time VRE forecasts into the dispatch schedule. Grid codes that cover data requirements for efficient VRE power generation forecasting. Okay, so you have retail market, transmission and distribution system operators, and the wholesale market. reward accuracy and penalize large deviations in scheduling and dispatch from market participants where markets are in place. So if there is a retailer who is buying from the wholesale market and he has to plan hour by hour, let's say for the next 24 hours, accuracy of the wholesale market is very critical for them to plan accuracy of the forecasts. Power generation forecast, not only just the weather forecast, is very necessary. So scheduling and dispatch has to be known very well. Give me a second here, I have to take care of something at the door. Okay, sorry about that. So continue with this. So we are talking about regulatory requirements for retail markets, transmission and distribution system operators. So those are the DSO and TSO we mentioned here, and the wholesale market. Stakeholder roles and responsibilities. So this system has to run together with the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? So you have policymakers, system operators, VRE generators, and meteorological and research institutes. Under policymakers, you support the development of advanced forecasting tools for weather and VRE power generation. Deploy mechanisms to record weather data at various locations to accurately forecast VRE power generation. So this has to be supported by policymakers to make sure the system runs smooth and the consumers are served well, critical services are maintained, and providers make their money as they have to. Systems operators enable transmission and or system operators to play the role of data custodians. Who owns the data and how it's used to make sure a smooth operation from production to consumer happens. In liberalized markets, allow authorized third-party vendors to use data for developing new forecasting tools. So in weather forecasting in the US, private players have been big players for a long time, and they have strong lobbies, and they rely on satellite data generated by the government, forecasts generated by government labs like NOAA, but they still are the ones who take the forecast, downscale it in their own ways, and take it to the last mile to the people. And news forecasts are very popular in the US, maybe also in Europe. In India, they are becoming more popular as skill is going up as well. So data custodians and new forecasting tools, especially from third-party vendors, become critical. Government agencies are required to measure skills of their forecasts, provide skills, respond to citizens when they fail, and so on. Private players, on the other hand, can keep producing products, and as long as people pay for them, they are okay. They don't have to prove that they have skill. People buy their product, they will keep providing the products, right? VRE generators equip VRE plants with supervisory control and data acquisition systems, sensors, and software for accurate power generation forecasts. Make use of the most advanced weather forecasting technology for optimized VRE generation. What does that mean? Well, it's kind of a qualitative statement, but we have to constantly upgrade the weather forecasting technology, weather forecasts, and provide it for optimized VRE generation. Serve the needs of VRE generation. To participate in markets or to inform system operators of the forecasted generation output is what this is all useful for. Meteorological and research institutes have to collaborate with the renewable power industry, including system operators, to refine the weather forecasting tools to improve VRE integration into the power system. If the power system is based on fossil fuels and is generally, promise is built to provide continuous power supply except under natural hazards knocking out the systems or grids and so on. VREs that are fitting into the system have to be integrated so that distributors, transmitters, consumers, and so on, retailers and wholesalers know when and how the power is coming into the grid or locally, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that concludes the renewable energy for adaptation part, and we'll come back and look at now the urban resilience, and then I will have a section on how humans have actually adapted to climate change over the Holocene. So we have been at responding to climate risks and climate changes all along, including hunter-gatherers who moved a lot. Now it's got a fancy name called adaptation, and because climate is changing so rapidly because of our own actions, we are trying to see how best we can provide information for optimal adaptation and for reducing vulnerability and resilience and making people safer. Okay, come back and move to the next section. Okay.